What is good, beautiful, good viber? How are you doing? So your girl Esther Joy is coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the mistakes I've made along the way and the lessons I have learned from them. I'm going to be sharing hopefully some kind of embarrassing but valuable life lessons I have learned, and in hopes that they will educate you and yeah, it will make your life better. So without further ado, let's just hop into it. So the first life lesson I learned was when I was very young, and I remember my cousin was commenting on her weight. She said something along the lines of, "Oh, I'm so fat," and I remember looking at the distraught and quite clearly in my mind as a child, believing I had all the answers already thought out. And I said, "No, you're not. You're just pregnant." Thinking I had just solved world hunger with my comment. Little did I know that's not how things work as a kid at that time. And yeah, that's a big mistake I kind of made, and that mistake was assuming that I knew more than the person that was commenting on something that they kind of maybe had more insight on in a certain perspective. Also, people pleasing. People pleasing is a mistake that I think most of us, maybe you don't see it as a mistake, but every time I've tried to please someone, it's usually coming from a fear of them not being pleased by my behavior. And because I have this fear, it ends up happening because that's pretty much what I'm acting upon. So that is a big life lesson I learned from a young age that, of course, I don't think I fully comprehended until now. I guess I'm telling you. So yeah. Whew, I just wanted to say it's kind of late when I'm filming this, so I apologize if I'm a little bit quieter today, that's why the lights are on. But let's go on to mistake number 2. I mean, I'm not even gonna count these because there's too many to count, fam. There's too many to count, good viber. But this next mistake has to do with let's just say time management and work. Okay, I have always really enjoyed engulfing myself in whatever I'm doing, to the point where I kind of forget about everything else, including my health and just the balance that is necessary for a good quality of life. And this is a mistake that still to this day I make, and this is because I don't set good boundaries with what is good in terms of healthy amount of time spent doing a certain task or working on a certain project. Now, that is not to say that there are certain times where you might have to pull an all-nighter if that is necessary. If you have a deadline that you just want to get, you have that energy and if you have the energy, go for it, okay? But I've learned something, especially through my years in high school, being in over 20 clubs. Yeah, ask me how I went to 20 clubs. I had 5 clubs a day. That there was no boundaries to when I should have said stop. I probably should have said stop after club 8, but no, I continued to go and multiplied that number, and I didn't stop myself. I didn't actually reflect on it. Why? If I actually stopped myself, I would have seen that I was running away from something, and that was my porn addiction at the time, which ultimately, because I was running away from it so hardcore, and I was just involving myself in all of these clubs, which, by the way, don't get me wrong, I mean, it was awesome, learning so much, but burnout happened. And then after the burnout, I went back to my self-destructive tendencies that I originally tried to run away from. And that was a big mistake. It was a mistake to think I could run away from that in the first place. You can't run away from something like an addiction by consuming yourself or occupying yourself without actually acknowledging what you're running away from. So you have to face the facts. You have to be honest with why you're doing what you're doing, especially if you're pushing yourself to the point of burnout. Whenever you are pushing yourself to the point of burnout, that is unsustainable. And there's probably something deep within you that needs to be uprooted or acknowledged so that you can have a more sustainable stream of energy throughout your day and life. I'm still learning on that one, fam, obviously, as you can see. Okay. And the last mistake I wanted to talk about in this video has to do with communication. Now, communication has always been something that I kind of struggle with. I'm not sure if you would know from these videos. Maybe you would, if you watch enough of them, right? But it was really during yesterday's Discord accountability call, and I was dog sitting these two dogs, which are very clever, by the way, very clever. And they managed to get a hold of the corner of the kitchen rug from their cage and shoo it up. And me, that people-pleasing part of me, did not want to tell the owner what happened, for fear they would be disappointed in me for the dog's behavior. So this form of communication is a lot of the times when something hard to communicate because of the possible negative reaction to the what is going to be said, I tend to shut down or not say anything, and that has been a big mistake. In fact, it's hurt me a lot more than helped in every single situation I can think of. I'll give you an example. This is a pretty straightforward one, I think, that we've all kind of experienced. I remember I really, really, really wanted to go somewhere. It was like to my friend's house, and I knew that my parents probably didn't like my friend and probably didn't want me going there. And so even though I planned this with my friend months in advance, I was too afraid to tell my parents. And so time ticked and my anxiety grew because the hour grew closer, and even though I told my friend that okay, we're still on, I actually did not confirm with my parents if it was okay for me to go away for this amount of time and borrow the car and so on and so forth. So of course, eventually the day before comes and I need to tell my parents. Needless to say, the way that I went about communicating this did not help them with their trust in me leaving because of the lack of communication and the overall fear I had of even saying anything. And so my own mind created this scenario that no, they're gonna say no, that it was a self-fulfilling prophecy where I waited so long and I was so fearful of communicating this that they would say no, that when I did the day before, they said no, not because necessarily they didn't like my friend or that I was going, but because it seemed so sudden and apparently I had planned it and it just was lacking trust in the communication. And so this is a big mistake that I'll be honest, at times I still make. It might be a reason, not entirely, why I don't reply to every single comment at times or every single message. But it is kind of in that idea that what I'm gonna say might disappoint someone or trigger them, and therefore it kind of puts me into a paralysis of just not doing anything or not saying anything, which quite oftentimes is kind of worse. I've found out through my life personally. So with that being said, have you made any of these mistakes? Let me know so that we can grow from them together, that we can understand how to navigate more effectively and optimally through the world. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know if you like this video by pressing the thumbs up, and I will know to make more videos like so. Without further ado, thank you so much again. I love you. God bless and namaste.